The Interactionist Theory.
I, Dylan Gravlin, have contributed a secondary education point of view as my studies at Westfield have come with an English degree with a focus in grades 5 to 12.
I, Shay Hamill, study elementary education and add a younger standpoint to our work on the interactionist theory. And our friend Chris Lannon adds to both with a focus on history education. Now let's get into it. While there are several contributors of the interactionist theory, one that should be mentioned is George Herbert Mead from his work in the early 20th century. The core of symbolic interactionist theory stems from Mead's work on how the self is developed through social interaction. His work has influences from the idea of pragmatism that emphasizes the importance of action and experience in understanding human behavior. He is found to agree with another researcher, Charles Cooley, in that self-concept is based on perception of how others perceive one and react to them. He expanded on this idea by adding the social interaction component, highlighting the large role of language and communication. His ideas were most notably published in his book, Mind, Self, and Society, in 1934. In his work, Mead proposed that the self is composed of two parts, the I, the spontaneous individual aspect of the self, and the me, the socialized aspect of the self, shared by others. Interactionist theory has many integrations, including culture, social, educational, and political. We will be focusing on educational integrations. In education, interactionist theory is about integrating students of different backgrounds, abilities, or ethnicities into the same classrooms as opposed to segregating them based on race, disability, or other factors. This approach aims for equal opportunities and access to education for all students. Interactionist theory in education focuses on how individuals interact with their environment, including their teachers, peers, and educational materials. The core of this theory is that human behavior, including learning, is shaped through interactions with others in a social context. In the educational setting, interactionist theory emphasizes the importance of social relationships, communication, and collaboration in the learning process. This is especially crucial for those who are learning a new second language. The acquisition is made more accessible through authentic interaction with native speakers, the learning is embedded in meaningful contexts in the classroom, and students become more engaged in a peer setting.
There are 6 key aspects of interactionist theory in education: social construction of knowledge, the role of teachers and students, language and communication, contextual language, symbolic interactionist theory, and student identity self-concept. Social construction of knowledge is the idea that students' understanding and knowledge are not simply received or transmitted from teacher to student. Instead, knowledge is gained through social interactions. This can be through discussions, group work, or peer-to-peer learning, where students build knowledge together. This collaborative learning encourages meaningful interactions that display learning as an ongoing process. Students are not only engaging in dialogic learning that develops their communication and critical thinking skills, but they are also able to bring their own cultural and social context into the discussions. This helps to foster a more inclusive and effective learning environment. For ELL or ML students, the social construction provided a more immersive environment to cultivate their language development. In an interactionist framework, teachers are seen as facilitators of learning rather than just providers of knowledge. Teachers guide discussions, foster collaborative activities, and create a learning environment where students feel comfortable engaging with the content and with each other. The environment created by the teachers for students relies on high expectations set for all. Belief that all can succeed reinforces students' sense of capability while working together. Communication is a central aspect of interactionist theory. The way students speak to each other, the way they express their ideas, and how they negotiate meanings all play a crucial role in their learning. Teachers should encourage meaningful dialogue, which allows students to develop a deeper understanding of topics and concepts. They will encourage students to not only listen, but to understand. ELL and ML students in school are encouraged to attempt new language without the fear of making mistakes. This continuous practice prompts the risk-taking necessary to become fluent in the language. Interactionist theory emphasizes the importance of the social and cultural context in which learning takes place. It recognizes that students come to the classroom with different backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives, and these influence how they engage with learning. It is crucial to create a student-centered space to allow for the self-expression and role-taking required in the group work. This means classrooms should create inclusive practices where one can learn from one another and set norms where all are clearly valued. This is a specific framework within interactionist theory developed by scholars like George Herbert Mead and Blummer. It suggests that individuals act based on the meanings things have for them, and these meanings are developed through social interactions. In education, this means that students interpret their experiences based on their interactions with teachers and peers, which shapes their motivation, behavior, and learning. In other words, the hidden curriculum, or social and cultural lessons learned of a space, is as important as academia in creating spaces that encourage the success of all. What is not explicitly taught is learned through daily interactions. According to interactionist theory, a student's self-concept is formed through their interactions with others in the school environment. Positive interactions can lead to a positive self-concept and motivation to learn, while negative interactions can hinder a student's academic performance and self-esteem. Peer influence weighs as heavily as that from respective teachers. Many critics of interactionist theory believe that it overlooks larger social structures, such as inequality, and puts too much emphasis on individual behavior and meaning. In other words, the theory doesn't fully take into account how much external social forces limit one's actions and perceptions of others. The personal responsibilities of an individual require things that are out of their control. Critics of the theory have also said that evidence of this theory's accuracy and reliability is not measurable because its key concepts like meaning or interpretation are hard to measure and test. Now, how can we apply this in the classroom? Collaborative learning encourages group work and peer-to-peer interactions where students can share ideas and solve problems together. Student-centered teaching is where the teacher acts as a guide and encourages students to engage with content in ways that make sense to them, rather than simply delivering information. Interactive discussion involves using class discussion, debates, and other methods where students interact with each other to develop and refine their ideas. And of course, culturally responsive teaching, which is understanding and respecting the diverse backgrounds and experiences that students bring to the classroom and incorporating them into the lessons.
We will be applying the interactionist theory into a peer example to develop better understanding. To set the scene, this mini-lesson activity will take place as an extension to a review unit on addition and subtraction. Students will watch a video of a riddle they will be tasked later to solve in groups of 3. Once they understand the parameters, they will be set off to work by a whiteboard with markers and instruction sheets. These sheets contain all of the rules of the riddle along with important information to guide answering it. They are composed of a mix of words and pictures to support all students regardless of language levels. This riddle, and the way it's played out in this scenario, requires both classroom and riddle-related rules. In our space, each student must contribute to the writing on the board. You are in an internship that's in a remote mountain lab that has gone downhill. You pulled a skull-labeled lever that has released a mob of mutant zombies. The only way to safety for you and the group is by crossing an old rope bridge that spans across a massive gorge. Your goal is to get everyone across before the zombies catch up to you in 17 minutes. Once on the other side of the gorge, you will cut the ropes on the bridge to ensure that the zombies cannot follow you across. The tricky part is figuring out how you can manage to do this task, as you have some complications to deal with. As far as time travel goes, you can get across the bridge in 1 minute, while the lab assistant takes 2 minutes, the janitor takes 5, and the professor takes 10 minutes. Only 2 people can cross at once, and the lantern provided for sight in the dark must be present while traveling the whole time. You must problem solve to be able to bring everyone to safety. Before we give a demonstration, this activity relates to the application of interactionist theory in many ways. It promotes a student-led time period as it requires peer-to-peer interactions in order to problem solve. We envision teachers watching the students while they work and acting as a guide towards their knowledge acquisition. Additionally, students will share and create ideas together while they build on each other's thoughts and attempts. This corresponds to the dialogic learning found in this theory. Finally, the activity respects all experiences and backgrounds as it leaves room for students to have a voice with whatever they can bring to the table to solve. Pause the video and try to do the riddle on your own with others before you see us do it. All right, team. Let's see. We know we have 17 minutes to make sure everybody crosses. So here's the bridge. And we have our 4 people. We can write it like our 1 minute person, our 2 minute person, our 5, and our 10. And then we can like kind of go across like this to keep track.
What if we write it going down the side?
Oh yeah, that would be better. I agree.
1, 2, 5 minutes? And 10?
And 10. Yep.
Okay.
Huh.
So,
And we need to remember that only 2 people can cross at once. And we
Okay.
always need the lantern to go back and forth.
so if 1 and 2 cross, which means 2 minutes,
Okay.
right? And then 1 has to go back, which means 1 minute. And then 1 and 5 go across, 5 minutes. And then 1 comes back, 1 minute. And then 1 and 10 will go, 10 minutes, right? So how much is that?
So 2 would be over here, but that's
So if
3
they
minutes.
go that way, these are the amount of minutes each crossing it. So it's 2, 3, 8, 9, 19.
so
that wouldn't work.
That's too much.
So how do they do it if it's not
I
one
thought it was
going back and
17 I
forth?
thought it was 20 minutes in the video.
17 minutes is the amount of time they have to cross the bridge, but if 1 goes back and forth, it's 19 minutes. So I don't understand how they can do it in 17 minutes. Do you have any ideas?
I thought it was 20 minutes in the video.
No,
It's
it's 17
17
minutes they have till the zombies get to them, yeah.
Yep, it says on our sheet.
I mean, is there any way that having, not having 1 go back and forth would save time? I mean, 5 and 10 take up the most
5
time.
and 10 can go together.
I like that idea.
At the beginning? You can write it up, see what
Yeah,
happens.
so 1 goes across first, and then comes back for.
But remember, we need 2 people.
Yeah, 2
because
people need to cross.
because the lantern has to stay with them.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So maybe, what if we did the 2 fastest together, so we keep 2 over here?
Yeah,
Because
try
then
that, Chris,
1
right?
can go back with the lantern.
Write 1 and 2 going down.
Okay.
I think Shay's onto something. And then who comes back, Shay?
1 could come back because that's less time.
Yep. So 1 comes back.
1 comes back. Maybe he gives the lantern to the people that would take the most time, like you said earlier.
But so if 10 and 5 go down the bridge together, we would basically be eliminating 5 minutes of time potentially.
Yeah.
Let's see if that works.
Go together. With 1.
Nope, 1 doesn't go. 1 would stay here because only 2 people can cross at once. Yeah.
Oh, here. Oh, sorry.
So they go together and they give the lantern.
And they give the lantern to 2, who's still over
Yep.
here, and then maybe 2 could go back and get one.
Yeah, because then that would only be a 2-minute walk back. That might work.
Right.
So
So-
2 goes back with the lantern.
So these guys are over here.
Yep, so send 2 is already over there,
Yep.
right? So send 2 back with the lantern. So send 2 backwards.
Can I write words?
Go for it, write
Okay.
words.
So send 2 back to the lantern to get 1.
Yes. Yeah, so 2's going backwards. And then
And
2
yeah.
and 1 have to cross again.
Alright.
Okay, so let's do the
So the
math.
math.
Do you want to do the math while we work it
Yeah.
out here?
Do you mind if I? Thank you.
So just in the top. So if
So
here, write it maybe up here. So
2,
1 and 2 go together.
and that's
That's
3
2 minutes. No, that's 2.
Oh, sorry. 2.
Because 1 is following
so
2, so
right.
it's just 2 minutes.
You're so right.
Um,
It's not a plus.
And then 1 comes back. Yeah, 1
Yes.
comes back, so that's 1 minute.
1 minute. And
5
then-
and 10 go, which
so
is
that's
10. 2 goes backwards, which is 2 minutes. And then
And then-
2 and 1 cross the bridge, which is another
2.
2. So 2 plus 1 plus 10 plus 2 plus 2. Now I don't do math, but
I don't do math either.
all right. I think math would be my strong suit.
Yeah.
So 3, and then 12, and then 2. This would be 15 and 2, and that is 17 minutes.
we did it!
Solved it.
Yeah.
Yay! Yay! Now that you're done watching, what are some positive examples of this theory in our activity? Pause the video to think before we review the answer. Some possible answers are, but not limited to, the passing of the marker for scribing, listening for understanding, and positive reinforcement from peers. Now, what is a non-example present? Feel free to pause the video. You may have answered with one classmate interrupting another's idea. How would this activity benefit ELL and ML students? A possible answer would be allowing those students to practice the new language in a real-life scenario. Thank you.